Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Otafest podcast. I am here with Jay and Angelo and Dio.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
They can't see us.
But
They
we
can't
can
see
each
you,
other.
but they love you just the same.
Are you sure about that?
We for context, we usually don't use webcams.
They don't know we're using webcams or not.
Now they
They
do.
don't care if we're using webcams at all.
No, but when you introduced us, I was just like, "It's me," but I only threw up the hands.
Translators note, Jay held up two peace signs next to his eyes.
You've heard of VTubers. You've heard of flesh tubers. Get ready for voice tubers.
Tell me more.
That's
Well,
what the
that would be
podcast is
using the
for.
voice, wouldn't it? That's the whole point.
Before we get into that, if you have been missing Otafest, you should come join Amanda, Jay, and Bayfar as they play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Randomizer, the Pictionary edition for Extra Life. Bayfar is going to draw clues. Jay is going to try and decipher them to try and beat Ganon. And Amanda will be really busy trying to keep everything and everyone together. So join them on September 26th and October 3rd at 6 p.m. Mountain Time to support a good cause and have a good laugh at twitch.tv/Otafest.
Let's go.
Yay!
Extra life.
Let's go. I'm awful at Pictionary. I will be completely upfront about this. I am so glad I'm not the one who's going to have to
Are
play.
you bad at the drawing part or the guessing the drawing part?
Probably the deciding how to draw a thing. And then on the guessing part, I would also just be like, no. We tried to play D&D Pictionary once. Nope.
I remember one time I was playing Pictionary and I had the word eggplant. And it's like, how do you draw an eggplant and expect them to get it? No. First, you draw a chicken.
Excuse me?
Answering the age-old question, which came first? So first you draw the chicken. Then you draw the oblong circle to show an egg. And then you just draw a plant. If you draw those three things, anyone will guess eggplant.
Yes, but you could also just draw the emoji, the eggplant.
Yeah, emojis didn't
Or
exist
the
back
plant, the eggplant.
then. Emojis didn't exist back then.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess our common nomenclature of what the eggplant emoji symbolizes was not a cultural norm.
Oh,
Huh.
no.
I didn't
That's-
consider
that's,
this.
That's a recent thing. That's like within the last 7 or 8 years.
I didn't consider that. So I guess you can't just... What if you get that prompt and you don't know what an eggplant is?
I don't know. But if you draw it like I drew it, someone just would just say like, eggplant? What does that mean? But they would get it right.
Fair.
This is why Bayfar is drawing, because I'm not accusing him of this. He knows that he's not very good at drawing.
Oh.
And then I have played enough Ocarina of Time, but I've never really done a randomizer.
We're in for a treat.
And Amanda knows the randomizer quite well, so that's why she's hosting and keeping us all together.
Oh boy.
She will be
We're gonna get
She will be
lost.
shepherding.
She will
bad.
shepherd you through the chaos that you've both created.
Yeah, for money,
It's true.
For charity!
for extra life.
What do you have any info, Jay, that you can share on maybe some fun mechanics you're gonna throw into this? Or is it all gonna be a surprise?
We're going to keep it pretty low key as far as I anticipate, but Bayfar probably will introduce something that I am not even expecting. But aside from that, it's basically we're all broadcasting from 3 different places. Like Amanda's going to be at her place, Bayfar's going to be at his, and I'll be at mine. So there's going to be no intercommunication.
Oh my.
Other than like what we might see on stream, but I'm going to keep away from chat because I don't want to see any extra clues about what Bayfar is drawing.
No spoilers.
It's basically I'm blind playing and I have no idea where I'm going to have to go because I have watched a couple of randomizers, but I'm not good with any of the problems that a randomizer actually presents other than like, hey, go get lost and find something. So it could be a lot of running around being sad about like not having a sword or just going fishing because that's all I really want to do.
So when I'm spamming poggers in the chat, it's going to be directly at Bayfar and Amanda, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually know if Bayfar is going to he might look at chat, but I don't know if that'll benefit him. It'll be mostly Amanda helping out and sort of trying to coordinate like the left brain, right brain operation that's gonna happen.
Let's go. Send all the poggers to Amanda.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I kind of wonder if Amanda's gonna need, like, to mute with either of you while she's trying to maybe talk to chat. I don't know. That's an interesting conundrum.
There'll be a lot of technological, like, oh, should we do this or should we do that? We're still ironing out some of the kinks that we're probably going to come up against, but that's okay.
Okay.
We're doing a little practice setup in.
I'm
a
excited
few
to see
days.
that.
Nice.
But it'll be
Excited.
fun.
Nice.
I'm super looking forward to it. We haven't really done an Extra Life in a little while, and we do really like
Yeah.
doing that project, but it's a little bit of a commitment, as most of our projects tend to be at Otafest. But again, for a good cause. I don't know if we've said specifically, but usually we are donating to Alberta Children's Hospital, and I think that's exactly who we're going with again this year.
Very
Support the
good.
kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, support the kids.
Also, a little while ago, the summer 2022 season began.
It sure did.
It
And
did.
right at the
It
end
sure did.
of season 7 of the Otafest podcast, we did a preview episode for 5 anime. We previewed Isekai Oji-san, Licorice Recoil, Yurei Deko, Isekai Yakyokyu, and Wado Ars Notoria. And today, we watched those very anime to see if we picked out some winners or losers for you to watch.
For context, we only watched the first episode of each of those shows. We didn't watch all of them. Some of them are still airing.
We gave them a very solid 1-episode test.
Some of us actually did watch some of these shows.
As one should.
I will admit.
So we're going to start off with Isekai Oji-san and what we thought of it. Immediately,
I need more. I need more.
Well, we'll give a quick recap of what Isekai Oji-san is.
an Oji-san was isekai'd and then came back.
Yes.
The uncle. Yup. He
Yeah,
was gone
so-
for 17 years. He got isekai'd for 17
truck.
years, and now he's back. Yeah, he woke up from his coma and his nephew is now taking care of him in the real world. But it turns out that some of the isekai elements haven't left his uncle, who is, by all accounts, a true blue otaku.
He really is.
But he
and
has
it's
access-
wonderful.
From 17 years ago.
Yeah.
It is
But
wonderful.
He stands Sonic the Hedgehog.
He loves Sega. He's a
And
diehard
Sega.
Sega fanboy.
Yeah. Oh. He was rather devastated by the state of Sega in the modern world.
And he has access to some of his powers and abilities from the isekai world, such as like a hyperdimensional inventory pocket and
Jealous.
like basic magic spells. It's quite interesting.
It's absolutely amazing. But first and foremost, Isekai Oji-san is a comedy. And it is... We burst out laughing multiple times.
Oh, God.
It's a good comedy.
I bust a gut
And, like,
at a very specific joke in the first episode, which I will not spoil.
sometimes it's about, like, weeaboo jokes like, oh, this guy doesn't understand what tsunderes are. He was isekai'd before tsunderes existed. He couldn't know. This cute elf girl actually had an insane crush
The
on
hots.
him. Holy cow.
The hots.
Yeah, I will say that this is sort of a otaku boomer anime, as in maybe if you're 12 years old, you won't get the humor as much.
Yeah, definitely not. Like, it definitely relies... It uses the fact that he's been, like, gone for 17 years as the butt of a lot of the jokes. And so it's really
Yeah.
funny. But if you weren't alive for things like there are definitely... If you're 13, you don't know what a Sega Dreamcast is, probably. And so the whole Sega does what Nintendo don't joke doesn't make any sense.
Nope. But also, he wanted, like, the not the butterfly knife phone, but he wanted, like, a phone that, like, turns open.
Yes.
And I was like, that was my dream phone. Yes. When I was that age. Absolutely. I wanted
I
that.
still remember the smartphone that like the last smartphone with a good keyboard was the HTC Z or Dream Z or something like that. And they had this super elaborate, crazy hinge that like lifted the screen away from the phone and then back towards it to get the keyboard in line with the screen. I appreciated it. We don't get cool phones anymore.
Oh man. He learned how to use eBay.
Yes.
Yep.
And he got trolled by people on YouTube.
The only thing that I found was, I don't want to say it's a letdown because I think it still suits the show somehow. The animation is probably the thing where you don't necessarily need great animation for this, but you could probably use better. Like you just appreciate it if the art was maybe a little better.
Love the art and animation style.
All right.
I
love that he looks like a total normie.
He is.
He does.
I feel really bad for saying this, and part of me doesn't want him to hear this, but the Isekai Oji-san looks like Alfred to me.
I was thinking the exact same.
I don't mean that as a mean thing, Alfred.
He looks like old Alfred.
It's Alfred in like 20 years.
No, not 20 years. Probably just 5 to 10.
No. Oh.
But it is genuinely a funny show if you're kind of from our generation of anime watching. It kind of hits all the right notes. There's enough like standard trope that like it kind of keeps relevant in that way, and then there's like stuff that's just a little bit deeper and a little bit more let's say nerd history, where you're like, if you know, and it's really good.
So there are 7 episodes out right now, and Dio and I have watched them all. They're all fantastic, and it's time for me to break your hearts. 7 episodes is probably all we're going to get.
No!
So I don't know what happened.
Just like the Sega.
For certain.
My heart!
But there was a huge break between episode 4 and 5, where actually COVID ransacked the studio. They were shut down for like 3 or 4 weeks, and there was a gap that long between episode 4 and 5. 5, 6, and 7 came out within a 3-week period, and then it came out that after that it was going on indefinite hiatus.
Oh no!
Because
did they say why?
COVID just screwed over the studio.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll still watch it. I mean, it's just
watch it.
It's enough
It's
like
so good.
sort of. It's just fun. It'll be the Firefly of our generation.
The
It really will
Firefly of
be.
our
Like,
generation.
it's pretty sad because it's a really fun show. The jokes are really fun. If you're in that like mid-20s and up age range and you're watching like anime,
It'll hit.
it will hit just
Oh
right.
my god.
It will.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It will.
You'll laugh.
Yeah, I need more of it. I do.
And the other thing...
It just
Definitely
it scratches
recommend.
a certain.
Oh yeah, huge recommend. We were so right to talk about Isekai Oji-san.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of isekai anime out there,
It's hard to
Especially
escape
this season.
isekai these
There was
days.
a lot this
especially
season.
this season. And but that one is a
That
winner.
one is actually a winner. And I think it's because I think the thing is, and this is my thing I'm realizing, it's not that I don't like certain genres, right? Like I used to think I just don't like superhero shows, or I just don't like isekai. Or I just don't like magical girl shows. It's not that. It's I will watch 1 or 2 of the same style of show. And after that, I don't want to deal with every single, bandwagon trend hopping show that
yeah.
comes
Once
out
you've
next.
watched Sword Art Online,
Copycats.
You've
you
watched
don't have to watch In Another World with My Smartphone. And the other In Another World with My Smartphone.
Was the
Exactly.
other
I
one.
don't need it. So the only time I'm going to watch it from then on is if you do something different, innovative, and fun with it. And I think Isekai Oji-san is fun and innovative because yes, you get the base, like, it uses the base plot of, you understand how isekais work, and you know that uncle went on a fantasy RPG adventure in another world. We're gonna use that. The show is like, we're gonna use that as the baseline for the jokes. You understand the baseline context. But we're not
It's
gonna.
self-aware.
But we're not gonna focus the exactly. It's self-aware humor. The crux of the
It's
show
extremely
is the
self-aware.
relationship and the exploration of, well, what happens when you come back from the other world.
Not a spoiler, but literally in the first minute, Truck-kun, there's an appearance
Comes-
by Truck-kun, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's extremely self-aware. I got caught off guard a few times, and I was just like, this is a show that was written by people who know how to meme themselves.
Oh yeah.
And Sega is definitely not a sponsor.
No, but they were allowed to play, or they were allowed to say Sega, and they were allowed to play
show Sega.
yeah,
were
to show
shameless
it and
about
to play a specific theme song.
But yeah.
So yeah, very good. Hopefully there's more than 7. If not,
Watch
it'll
Isekai
be a
Visa.
shame. But yes.
Definitely.
The next one is Licorice Recoil. Basically, a show called Gunslinger Girl that was like 10 years ago, but now brought into 2022 is what it feels like. It's girls with guns anime with, and when we say girls, like high school girls, trained assassins. They are supposed to, they're like an underground covert government operation to help keep Japan ideal,
Safe.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Safe.
Yeah. I guess ideal is a good way of putting it, but yeah.
Like the whole point of them is like, they look like schoolgirls, so they look non-threatening. They don't look strange because, of course, you would see, a school-aged girl in her uniform wandering around Japan. That's normal. And so as a result, they covertly eliminate criminals using very lethal means, terrorists,
Drug dealers.
drug
Gangs.
deals. And they do all of it, and they have their own cleanup crews and stuff to, delete information that's not supposed to be on social media and clean up the evidence and just make it seem like, Japan is in this
Japan is the best place.
ideal, perfect peace.
Yes.
Extremely idyllic, yes.
And that was, again, this is just first episode material that we're working off of. There's some real, let's say, potential for it to get, like, gravelly and dark,
And I'm going to come out and say it
Possible.
doesn't.
full of substance.
It doesn't get dark.
It does.
Hold on.
No.
It is consistently the vibe of Genki Gunslinger Girl.
Okay, yes. But it does handle dark topics in its overall narrative. But it doesn't handle them in a gritty, depressing way.
So if we
Oh,
go
that's
back
fair.
to Gunslinger Girl, it's really depressing after like episode 3.
It's extremely
Oh.
depressing because Gunslinger Girl has the same sort of premise where they're taking out like political enemies of the state. It takes place in Italy, and it has the same sort of like handler operative sort of relationship between the girl and their handler. But the thing is, like, a lot of them come from tragic backgrounds where it's like orphans and they have sort of these issues, but they're not like, they're just trained to execute, but they start, exhibit because they are, I don't know, about 14 to 16.
Whereas-
they start exhibiting and learning, things like their own personalities and their loves and desires and wants and things like that. Whereas this show is much more like, these girls don't seem to have that tragic backstory. They do seem to have a little bit more well-rounded personalities, and it's okay that way. I'm
It's
okay
really
with it
good.
not becoming too dark.
Whereas
I am happy.
Gunslinger Girl was focusing on like the mortality and the issues of the girls there. Licorice Recoil is more about the blooming relationship and character development around the two main characters, Chisato and
Takina.
Takina.
Yeah.
And that's what's really different. That's what's great about it. It stays really cheery throughout.
It does. It is very it's a very positive show. Like, it does deal with dark themes and dark topics because, I mean, of course, you're dealing with terrorists, you're dealing with violent crime, and
Criminals.
you're dealing with, people get shot with real bullets. But it handles it in a way where, it does a balance of making you, understand the gravity of what's going on, without, without, denying you moments of brevity. You get to see the characters interact. You get to see the characters lighten up. And there's a specific thing that I want to bring up because, of course, the fans, you see this blossoming development between these two female characters, and you wonder, well, are they going to become girlfriends by the end of the show? And so I won't spoil the answer for you, but I will say that one thing I was really impressed with was the way that this show handles topics like diversity. And it does it in a really interesting way, because one thing I'll point out, when you watch anime, especially if you watch anime from like the 2000s or the 90s, there are oftentimes only Japanese characters. And, even if characters have pink hair, blue hair, green hair, like, they're explicitly Japanese characters, even if they have funky colored hair or like magical features. And there are very rarely, for example, black characters. And when they are there, they're often usually very specific stereotypes about Black American people.
They're tropes.
And, they're often very tropey, and they are often used as the butt of a, haha, America joke. And most foreigners in anime in general are typically used as like a haha foreigner language difference type of joke.
Hello, how are you? Fine,
Thank you. But it's really cool because the sort of like their main mentor is a black guy, and he's
And I got some extremely Dream Daddy vibes from him.
he's a very attractive like character. Like he's very clearly and obviously a black character. He has very obviously African features. What's really cool,
But he feels well-rounded.
yeah, he
he's
feels
great,
well-rounded. He's an anime character, and he's cool. I love him. He gets his own sort of like little subplot arc in the show that I won't spoil. It's great.
Yes.
So, but like that's, they play him completely straight. He's there, and they mention that yes, he's a foreigner, and there's lots of other foreigners, but it's never like in the show, but it's never played as a joke. It's of course there's foreign intelligence in the assassination agency, of course there is, and so he's there, and it's really cool. But the other thing is, without spoiling it, the show does touch on LGBT topics and relationships, and there is a very explicit, and I don't mean like two characters do explicit things in the show. They don't. But the relationship
it's explicitly shown as a relationship.
There's a relationship that is clearly shown, demonstrated. There's no ifs,
It's
ands.
not a tease
it's
relationship.
Not a tease. It's not a bait. It is very odd. Like the two characters tell each other that they love each other.
Yes. I need more.
Yeah.
So, and I won't spoil it any further than that, but I really liked how that was handled because it's played very straight. It's not played as a joke. It's not played as these two are two weirdos, which often a lot of queer representation is sometimes played as these two people, they're happy together, but it's weird, and it's okay because they're weird. It's not played like that at all. It is
weird for each other.
It is played very much almost as if they were a heterosexual couple.
Imagine if James Bond was talking up some hot lady at the bar and they mentioned that they had history in the past. It's played basically like that.
Right.
But as an LGBTQ couple.
Sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's really clear that we all really liked this one.
It is
It's a great
legitimately one of the best shows of the season.
I highly recommend it if you haven't
I'll
seen
probably
it.
power through
If
it.
Isekai Oji-san had more episodes, it would be battling Licorice Recoil for best anime of the season.
That's saying quite a bit.
It really is.
Yeah.
You want to move on to the next one?
Let's do
I
it.
think we do. So Yurei Deko. Yurei Deko, I believe that I said on that episode that it could go one of two ways. It can look good and be really interesting, or it can look good and be really boring. And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that it looks good.
And we don't know how else it's gonna
I
go
kind
because
of
we
do.
only saw one episode.
I watched it.
Aw, you kind of do. Oh no.
The
So
whole
from
idea.
from the first episode, it was very, very unclear to me if it was going to get darker or not. The show itself already in the first episode makes reference to, like, it makes a Tom Sawyer reference. It's very clearly a world that's built on top of, there's at least a little bit of dystopia in there. There's a heavy influence of social media and, like, almost a social credit system. And you're like, this could get really depressing.
It's basically
But it hasn't so far.
investigating the idea of what would happen if social media literally infected or leached into every single part of your life. It's basically Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse taken to the extreme. And while it doesn't immediately say that's a bad thing, it shows you in the ways that it could be implemented and what could be done. And I've watched about 5 episodes of it, and I like the visual style. The visual style is probably going to be a love or hate sort of thing. I do like the visual style. I feel like it works for the story that it's trying to tell. What I don't like is how it tells the story. It's, quite frankly, boring to me. It's really just not good. And
That's
my
how I feel
problem
too.
might be different for other people. To me, I feel like the story so far in 5 episodes hasn't given me any payoff. It's given me mysteries or things to think about, try to look at, but it hasn't come out and said, are you right or are you wrong or what's going on? It hasn't. I might be the brainlet here, but every now and then I need the media to come over to me and say, ah, yes, you thought this was the thing. You are right. I like that. It's the payoff that I sometimes need. I'm an anime watcher. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, like I will say for me, I am one of those people where this particular art style doesn't speak to me. I'm not super in love with it. That's okay. It's a very unique stylistic choice. It makes sense for the story it's trying to tell, and I think a lot of people will like that style because it's very cute and pop arty, and it feels like what people thought the future and what, you know, the World Wide Web would look like in the 90s.
Now,
And that's really cool. I think even from the first episode, I was like, there's not enough story to really hold me. Like even from the first episode, you do get, like, they hit all of the story beats where you're introduced to the main character, you're introduced to, you know, an antagonist, or you're introduced to, you know, a change, and you're you know, you hit all of those major story beats that you need, but there's nothing about the characters that we've been shown and the world that they've been shown to be in is interesting enough for me to care about a narrative enough to watch the whole show.
while we were watching the show, one thing that actually I realized while I was watching it, very recently, Cyberpunk Edgerunners came out, and me and you have been watching a few episodes. Yurei Deco felt like if you took Cyberpunk Edgerunners, boiled it down for 3-year-olds, and then presented it to you. Except, again, gave no story. No real story.
I think with the art style, it is trying to tell a story through the art style, because it's a very impressionistic pop art, bright colors kind of thing. But a lot of it, and we haven't actually touched on the mechanics within it, I feel like, which is they have these, like, everyone from 4 months or 4
Everyone has a
years
deco.
old?
What's called a deco.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
basically eyeball implants.
That do
Yep.
augmented reality.
Yeah, so basically,
Yeah.
you know, you look up to your upper left and you can access probably a little menu thing or a little thing of, like, how you
No,
wanna
the
take a
menus
camera
popped in and out
shot
of
or something like that.
existence. Like, you didn't
Yeah,
have to
but I
look
mean,
into
like-
a direction to get the menu. You just, like,
But it was
the
gesture
menu
based,
needs to
remember? Because,
exist
like, she
now.
could take a selfie.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
She
She
gesture
could take a selfie, gesture-based AR system. And I thought that was all
Yeah.
cool. But, like, it implied with all the bright colors and whatnot that everything that was bright is AR. So that
Yeah.
means a lot of people's clothes, because we saw that
We're
one
all
guy,
AR.
We're all
Yeah.
AR too.
Yeah.
A lot,
Oh, yeah.
like,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of them are just walking around technically naked, but they have like
Well, they've got like a
AR
basic bodysuit
AR
on,
hair
but like
Yeah,
it
AR
projects
hair.
things.
AR makeup, AR clothing, and accessories, and
and
Yeah.
you unlock these microtransactions technically through getting likes, essentially.
Yeah, social media likes.
It's a social credit system
It is.
using AR, and all of that's the premise is really interesting. This is to say that that Licorice Recoil is like an updated, slightly different tracked Gunslinger Girl is to say that Yurei Deco is like an upgraded, slightly different tracked Serial Experiments Lane.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, in a way,
yeah.
yeah.
it has those
Yeah.
mysteries. It has that technological intrigue and that advancement. It has that like underlying what is the Matrix, like the red pill underneath kind of situation.
There's a lot of clues though, like everywhere, scattered everywhere if you're looking. Like the walls of her room are quite bare because she doesn't have a whole lot of loves to spend on things to make things look nicer. But you can tell that the walls are all really scuffed and kind of jank, and so is the rest of the house, but they jazz it up with AR stuff, right? And there's also a scene where one of the other characters is just like flying around causing mischief. And there's a scene of a trendy shopping area, which has lots of colorful objects everywhere and lots of interesting designs. And then you see
Neon,
kind of a shot of what looks like the slums. There's like barely anything there.
But
And
that's like the actual skeleton of the city underlying.
yeah,
right?
and that's the real world, right? So those things aren't exactly being glossed over if you're paying attention. They're not really being addressed with the tone that I would have expected from something like this. But I'm
Yeah.
also waiting to see what is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that was
think
my
there's something-
frustration. Was I
think
could
there's a lot of depth there.
Yeah, I could see the potential for a lot of depth. And so I kind of watched it along with Angelo and then eventually dropped it and just was like, I'm just not interested in this anymore. Because like the world building was really cool. Like the visual world building was really cool and really interesting. And it did, as you mentioned, Jay, there's a lot of storytelling that it does in the environment and in the art style. But then the actual narrative and dialogue just doesn't do anything with it. And so I'm just like, it's so close, but just push it like just a little bit further.
It's a payload anime for sure.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
Yeah,
probably-
I think so.
You inch along, and then finally there's a destination that you hit. Maybe it's everything you wanted. That's the only problem. It's a gamble. If the storytellers don't do it right, if the writers don't, express that correctly, if the animation doesn't express that correctly, you're going to feel a little let down. But there's something there because there's a seed that they plant.
I want to
essentially
believe
for you.
that it's a slow burn like Shiki, where you need to wait 9 episodes before the story really starts happening. I remember Shiki being crazy like that, where
I have unga bunga
But
brain,
still,
low attention
the
span.
art style and a small drip feed of something interesting happening has to occur. And I didn't get that from Yurei Deco. I didn't get that.
Huh? Solid maybe then?
Give it a try.
It might be your genre.
Yeah, it might be your
Like,
that's
I-
your thing.
If you like you
I may watch it all the way through just to see what the whole situation actually ends up being, but
if you like
I think it's a little
Yuasa
lower on my
Misaki,
list considering.
I think that's his name. Same art style and studio and everything behind Keep Your Hands Off Aizokin, Devilman Crybaby, I believe Kaiba a long ass time ago. It has something to say, and it's going to say it eventually. It's just a matter of whether you can make it that long or not.
And if it
Fair,
was
fair.
worth it, because there's every possibility that
What if it
they
just
carry
says
you
Twitter
through to
bad?
somewhere that wasn't good enough.
What
Yeah.
if it just says Birdat bad?
Yeah, like that's the thing. If I think I wouldn't be able to stomach if I watched so I watched 5 episodes. If I got to episode 10 and the bomb drop was social media bad, I'd be like, thanks. Like I know. Thank you for I'm so glad it took
Zuckerman's no good.
metaverse bad, Web3 bad. Like I'd
Yeah.
be like, yeah, thank you for that insight.
All right. So pretty mixed opinions, which sounds about right.
Yeah, there's potential, and that's pretty much all you hope for that pays off.
Speaking of potential and payoff,
That might pay off.
this episode of Isekai Yakyoku had none of it.
Doogie Howser,
Oh,
MD, the
boy.
Isekai.
Oh my gosh.
That was,
For
I will say,
for you
I will say, the very beginning hit a little kind of hard. Like, the whole, I'm an adult who works myself to literal death.
This is
My calendar is booked back to back.
No, that's
My...
just the Japanese dream.
the
For real,
one
that
thing I will
hurts
say-
really
work
not.
schedule.
The
The
one
work
thing I will
schedule
say-
really
is
not.
just the worst.
This isekai, there have been so many isekai that have done the protagonist literally worked themselves to death. They did the karoshi. They
That's not
did
social commentary at all.
They did the
in
thing
in
where
art
the
form.
character is exhausted because they're too hard of a worker. This isekai did that
He's
the
a
best
doctor.
so far.
Yeah.
Most other isekai, they spend 30 seconds on that. They spent like a solid, 2-3 minutes?
Yeah,
4 or 5
they
minutes?
spent a good
Yeah.
5 minutes of the show.
They fleshed it
like,
They actually showed how much of a hard worker this guy was.
and it hurt. It hurt. Listen, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
And seeing like these like mid 20s to like mid 30s or even like early 40s like characters working away, like it makes me sad because it's like I think I said this when we were talking about it. I've become the thing that teenage me wanted to avoid being, and now I am that thing.
Yeah.
But I have disposable income, so maybe it's okay.
I buy lottery tickets with my disposable income because I want out.
I want out. And so it's like it hurts, and it hurts so much worse. It hurts worse than it did when I was a teenager watching anime. And to really rub the salt in the wound in that 5 minutes of like seeing him working and having him so zoned into work that he doesn't notice the presence of other people, they show his like wall to wall work calendar with all the different colored meetings. I was like, I hate it here. Like, do you have to be so loud and so correct? Like, you said nothing, but it's so loud.
Yeah. I definitely got a little bit of PTSD from that.
hurt.
I'm on vacation this coming week, and I'm just like, wow, that is the last thing I was going to think
You're
about.
like, thank
Thanks.
you for that.
Yeah.
And then, not only does he, die and get isekai'd, he gets isekai'd into a world where he's basically doing the same job he had as a child.
And has to learn the wrong things.
So
Yeah, because in this isekai world, it's that standard sort of dark ages, medieval kind of set, or like
Fantasy setting.
idyllic Eastern, like Western European.
I'm
fantasy
going to
setting
bring
and
some
castles.
outside information in. So I haven't watched past the first episode. I only watched the first episode here with you guys. But apparently the whole premise, the whole OP-ness of this guy is that he understands and starts using modern medicine, basically saying, you guys fuck your bullshit. We're not using those 12th century methods here.
Yeah, basically.
In this day and age, we got the chemistry. We got the magic. I can hold my fingers up to my eye and see that you have sprained your butthole. And so, with that information, I can come up with exactly what information I need to know to mix up the pharmacology to make you work.
Okay, hold on. Are you telling me that this 7 or 9-year-old or whatever boy wakes up from a coma one day, has knowledge of modern medicine, but also is able to literally create matter with his hands? Any matter, he can create any pure element with his hands. He has literal divine magical powers.
He's just broken.
And he's going to resort to modern
Homeopathy.
medicine
Yes.
to fix
Yeah,
everything.
it's so like the premise is just so silly because it's like the whole like it's even implied from episode 1. Like the whole premise is that, you know, in this world, because as Jay said, it's sort of like the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, and all of the medicine is like 12th century.
Homeopathic medicine.
Yeah, it's 12th century.
No.
It's 12th century like ooga booga medicine, and then also like mysticism and magic. And so you have to learn the magic ooga booga mysticism to like sort of apply the 12th century magic. And the brokenness is not only is he a broken magic user, he can just you know, his magic is super strong.
He's the next coming of God.
He's basically like the next. He's like basically Jesus, and he's anime Jesus, and he can do anything. But it's because he has knowledge because he was a pharmacist in his previous life. He has modern knowledge of medicine, and so his magic is stronger because he has a better innate understanding of how the elements work, and so he could make
Mushko
anything and do
Tensei
anything.
did the same thing.
Yeah, but the difference
Okay.
is, and this is the problem I have with every isekai show. He has an OP ability, and it's OP
Several.
out the
Several.
gate, out the
Oh, yeah.
gate. He literally in the first episode.
There's no learning he needs.
Yeah, there's no learning. The thing about
He's basically there to like gawk at the locals and try to make their life better.
yeah, exactly. Like he gets to be he basically got reborn into a world where he has every luxury possible, and like even if he were to lose that luxury, it wouldn't matter because he'll just never die. Like he's basically immortal. He can cure anything.
He was reborn. He was reborn into a noble house. He's nobility.
Yeah.
He's rich, and his family is well recognized.
And he has
This
the
is
most
also
OP
a
power.
Shota harem.
Yeah, which
Oh,
is
God,
also
it is.
like it's
Well,
just
at least one of the ladies already learned to be absolutely terrified of him.
yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean,
Like
yes.
the whole introduction of okay, well, he's born into a noble family. He has the best life ever. He'll be able to figure out how to do all of the magic healing stuff, no problem. He's gonna have the best life ever. The introduction is, oh no, the caveat is he's so powerful that other people will be afraid of him if they discover how powerful he is.
That's the struggle that they gave him.
Oh,
It's
my
such a
Lord.
struggle.
Anyway,
what
it's-
conflict in the
It's
story.
pretty clear that we didn't like this one. Like pretty much the whole way through that episode, we were heckling it to
It's
death.
too many tropes. It's too
Uninspired.
standard uninspired crap. I have a thing with words, and they just pour there's a lot of lazy writing with how they like sort of
Jam medical
name
words
new
in.
concepts.
Oh
Yep.
god,
The-
that's
like,
right.
Like
yeah.
he's a pharmacician, but it's not or a pharmacist or something like that, where it's a
He's a magician.
a pharmacist magician.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Is he a magician
See, I would have
who's
been
a
okay.
pharmacist or a pharmacist who's a magician?
I would have been okay if it was like I'm a pharmacist physician, but no.
but a
no.
physician doesn't like a physician is modern. He can't possibly be that right now.
I mean, they probably had the title for a physician at some point. Anyway, besides the point, really lazy writing. I didn't like it.
Yeah, again, as I said before, I will watch an isekai show if you show me something that is new or innovative or different from all the other isekai. Why do I care about
Something
your
a little more
isekai?
compelling, please.
You know, yeah, why am I compelled to watch this? I am not compelled to watch this because it's a pharmacy isekai.
I'll have you know
Nope.
that I'm already enjoying an isekai this very season that featured a character who worked himself to death. And the only thing that Isekai Pharmacy did better than Isekai Slime Master Dude is that they actually showed the working himself to death part a lot better. That's really the fact that Dio and Nancy were both
Man.
physically cringing, reeling back in fear and anguish at that little scene. It was a pretty damn good scene.
It's the best writing in the
it was a
entire
good
show.
scene.
Unfortunately,
that there's
It was all downhill after the guy died.
Apparently.
I'm sure they'll
That's-
try and redeem the beginning from during the last few episodes about when he gets he won't get un-isekai'd because he died.
What if he
obviously there's
un-isekais
gonna
and
be some
goes
sort of
back and
redemption.
meets his nephew in the real world?
No, that anime is far too good to be mixed with this one.
Yeah, this pharmacist doesn't like Sega enough.
Yikes.
But wait, there's more. There's one last anime preview review, and it's the worst one yet.
Yeah, all right.
It's-
Spoilers, we didn't even make it through the episode.
It got X-armed.
Wadao
It got
Ars
X-armed.
Notoria has the wonderful, the honorful, the status of being the second episode ever that we could not finish the first episode of.
We just didn't want to. We just voted halfway through going, this is the 10-minute mark. There's another 10 minutes. This can't possibly be good enough. This Moe Harry Potter based off a mobile game anime was not worth your podcaster's time.
Literally the first
I left halfway through.
Jay decided the bathroom was an important place to be, and I, for one, agree with that decision.
literal
I didn't disagree
literal
with that.
poop
I stated
was more important than Wadao Ars Notoria.
I will say as well that I didn't even need to go. It was only at the want level where your body acknowledges that there is waste to be excreted. And I said, yeah, that sounds fun.
This was a Scott Pilgrim moment where he said, I need to go pee due to boredom.
Like,
Except
yeah.
for Jay, it was the number 2.
To actually say anything about the anime itself, within the first 30 seconds, we were introduced to some nauseating parallax. Like, I'm glad that it was only on screen for a couple seconds, because I was like, the fuck is this?
For people who don't know what parallax is or that term, it's basically, you see it in video games a lot where it's like you have, let's say a 2D
Where one
video,
part-
like side scroller or something, where your foreground, as you move around in the foreground, the background also moves, but at a slower pace relative to the distance. So you kind of get that sense of scale and distance between the background and the foreground. Except when parallax is done poorly, it looks like garbage.
They were doing it so
And that's what we
poorly
got.
that the background was moving faster than the character in the foreground.
Which
There was-
implies that the foreground character is moving at the speed of sound.
Yeah.
Just like it's broken a certain barrier in order to be able to do that.
Now,
There was a character that walked across the screen for like a whole 10 seconds maybe, and they were blurred out so hard that it looked like it was 60 FPS interpolation problems.
oh my god.
Yeah.
There was the second girl character that we were immediately introduced to. And this is before we understand that they really have magical powers, but she jumped off of this tower platform, and I was cheering that she might miss landing on the platform.
Oh my god, Jay. Oh my god, I can't believe. But anyway, like the character designs weren't awful, except Nancy
I think
really
Nancy would
didn't like
disagree.
this one girl who had a spring
know.
ahoge.
I didn't like
It's
it.
There
either.
her,
were-
no, that's the main. That's the
And that's
That
main.
is the main character.
I didn't
That-
like
The
it
main
either.
character is the
As
Ahoge.
far as I could tell, that character was literally called Ars Notoria.
Yes.
The whole anime is
But
named
there's also,
after
we got a
Spring
shout
Hair
out in the worst anime.
I'm gonna be honest,
did.
like you can tell that
Little
it's
Alberta.
a game anime because they kind of just throw a bunch of characters at you and they're like, you're supposed to know who these are. You're supposed to know who they
And what
are,
they do
and you're supposed to know
and-
what they
yeah.
do, and then like the characters start talking and they just start throwing out like in-world lingo with like no
Jokes.
context. Like there's not like they don't like hold a book or something or a tome and be like, yes, this is the lesser key of blah blah blah, and then you're like, oh, I understand that the lesser key of blah 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 is a book. Like they just throw the words out and you're like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're talking
You're
about.
basically, you feel like you're dropping in to the middle of the season.
Of the Yeah, exactly.
But it's
That's
not
what
even
I said.
it's not even just the middle of the season. It's a middle of the season bland conversation without plot.
Yeah, like nothing
There was a
happened.
scene.
You're like, you're not
10
even
minutes.
yeah. You're not sitting there going like, I'm lost because I don't understand what's happening. You're saying I'm here, I'm lost because I don't understand what's happening and I don't care.
Yeah, like it's like
There
what is the inciting incident? Like why do I care that these girls are at school? Why do I care that they're that they're meeting for cake or tea or whatever? Why do I care that this one girl is miserable and broke so she can't afford, 4 of this one type of cake that she wants? Like
Or like, why did they have like this little ceremonial thing where they all curtsy?
yeah, like what why do I care about this stuff? Like nothing happens. There's no like there's not even like a, oh no, we're late for class. Like there's no sense of urgency. It's just like, as far as we know, they were meeting up for like a Sunday tea to just shoot the shit. Like, and good for them. Cute girls doing cute things was a popular thing for a while, but like I don't care.
It was very difficult for me to like any of the characters without having any foreknowledge of them.
Yeah. Just if
I don't even think it was because it was a mobile game anyway, where I needed to know the characters through the game first. I think it was just lazy everything.
well, I mean,
Other than maybe character design, which were they're kind of cute.
it's
but
a game anime.
beyond that.
Yeah, like everything, I think, I will agree with Jay. I think everything hinges off of, ooh, look how cute the girls are. They have unique hairstyles, and one of them has a quirky way of speaking, and one has this really expressive ahoge, and like, ooh, that's so cute. And they all have these like really unique uniforms, like, ha, they're adorable. And I'm like, okay, that's nice, but like, why do I want to watch that and not just like look at a PNG of them?
Game anime do be game anime, just like video game movies.
Pain and suffering, even.
I think it's safe to say none of us liked this.
Not at all. Not at all.
There's nothing to like.
A solid 0 out of 10. No, thank you.
If you like Wada Ars Notoria, seek help.
If you like the game and you wanted to watch the
Seek
anime,
help.
then I was gonna say go for it, but I have not played the game, therefore I don't have much of a
I didn't
gravitation
even realize it was a
towards
game.
it.
All I'm saying is, if you like it, seek help. I'm usually
There are better games.
usually live and let live on these sort of things, but you know what? Seek help.
Speaking of better games, if you are looking for a fun, like early 2000s style point and click adventure storytelling game, there is a very adorable one called Nine More Lives that
Not a
I
sponsor.
got to voice a character in.
Yeah, Nancy did it.
It launched just like 10 days ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I get to play a game with Nancy
on
in
Steam. Yeah, there were. It's been getting really good reviews, which makes me very happy
Nice.
because the game itself is actually quite adorable. I've been playing through it a little bit on stream. Yes, as a cat, you do get the chance to lick pretty much everything.
Oh my! Did Stray let you lick things?
No.
Wow.
But I did get to meow
No.
with things.
So
You do.
yeah, it actually improves on one aspect of the definitive cat simulator. That's big.
The definitive
That's
cat
pretty
simulator.
big.
But yeah,
It looks
it's been a
super
very it's been a very good couple of weeks. Very, very exciting. I also got to perform at the Palace last week.
You got to perform with the band.
I got to perform with the band. It was amazing. It was loud. I was very, very grateful for hearing protection.
Oh yeah. Did you feel the drums thumping through you?
Yes, it makes it really hard to sing on key, actually.
Yeah, you were telling us last time because you can't hear yourself. You don't get your own auditory feedback.
Pretty much.
So what were you doing? Were you just being like, okay, I think I'm singing this tone. It feels like I'm
You
singing
kind of
this
just,
tone.
yeah, you kind of just rely on all of your practice, I guess. Like, I think this note sounds like it should be about here, so this is where I'm singing now.
Nice.
So I've been coming off of, like, the world's biggest adrenaline rush for, like, the last week.
All of your projects are finally coming to fruition.
Yes. Yes, it is.
We need to get her automobile graph. Before
Yeah.
she forgets.
Automobile graphics. Before she's too famous to talk to us. We need the automobile graphics.
Oh, please.
We'll have to line up for her at Expo just to say hello.
I'm... Oh my god, no. I will always have time for my Oda fam.
We'll have to
Yeah.
line up
Low,
to
low
work for her
price
at
of
Otafest just to say hello.
$5.99 a minute.
For the low, low price of if you donate to whatever cause I am currently raising money for.
Donate to Extra Life while Bayfar, Jay, and Amanda stream it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good times for all.
We do that. Mm-hmm. And having done that, I believe it is time to end this episode. But thank you for listening.
Thank you
and
for
we will
enjoying.
have more anime soon because we'll have to do the fall preview.
Indeed, fall is upon us.
Yes. We're falling.
That was terrible.
That was awful.
I'm falling out of this episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Set the place on fire.